How's it going, everybody? My name's Dave Whipple and you're watching Bush Radical. Today's video we're going to talk about fire. When you're in the backcountry, you have to be able to have a fire. You've got to be able to start a fire if you need one. You're going to probably want a fire at night just to sit around and enjoy. Fire's going to dry your clothes out. Fire's going to keep you warm. Fire might save your life. So when it comes to making a fire, there's only two things that I'm going to endorse. There's only two things that I would recommend that you have on you. The good old-fashioned cigarette lighter and the Ferro Rod. The old standby and the new standby. What's the benefit of each one and why would you want to take one over the other? The lighter gives you a flame. The Ferro Rod gives you a spark that you could potentially get a flame out of. This is going to work for, I don't know, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 1,000 lights. You might get 1,000 flames out of this that are going to last you 5 or 6 seconds. You know, just enough to get a fire going. Now with the Ferro Rod, you're going to get a spark that can ignite fine tinder and get you a fire. This gives you an actual flame. This gives you the potential for a flame. You get the lighter wet, you're going to have to dry it off. Get the Ferro Rod wet, and it's not going to matter at all. The real difference between these two things is how fine you've got to get your tinder material. You can grab a handful of dry leaves and grass and light it on fire with a lighter. And with a Ferro Rod, you're going to have to make sure all of that material is processed down to where it can actually get lit by a spark. That's a finer process. The lighter is going to eventually run out of fluid, so it's not a really long-term solution. The Ferro Rod, if you took your time and processed your material so that you were sure one strike from this Ferro Rod would light your fire, and you never just played with this thing to make sparks, and you never lost it. A good Ferro Rod like this could probably last you the rest of your life. So that a lighter's not gonna last you the rest of your life. A lighter can get broke, it can get damaged, it can run out of fluid. If you drop it and the little wheel pops off, the spring and the little tiny Ferro Rod, the little tiny piece of flint that's in there that produces the spark, it's gonna go out and you're probably never gonna locate it and get it back together. A Ferro Rod this size costs about, I don't know, 12 bucks. A lighter like this costs about 99 cents at any gas station. This is a lot cheaper. This is gonna last you a long time, but it's not going to last you the rest of your life, even if you really do take great care of it. But there is something to be said about flame. You don't have to build a flame by the combination of sparks and perfectly prepared tinder. You just start right out with a flame. One of the real downsides to a cigarette lighter is how fragile it is. You know, you can drop it and knock the top off it, or you could crack it and all the fluid can come out. But it's also important to remember that Ferro Rods are fragile, or can be fragile too. It's not that difficult to break one of these in half by dropping it on rocks or really hard ground. Yeah, it's made out of metal, but that doesn't mean it's that tough. And then you have a rod that's much, much more difficult to strike. Another downside is that a Ferro Rod's not going to do much of anything by itself. It needs some kind of a striker. Whether it's a sharp rock or the back of a knife or the back of an axe, it needs another tool of some kind to make it work. For all the downsides and the 99-cent price tag on a lighter, it is self-contained. It doesn't need another tool striking it to make it work. It's got everything it needs. A lot of people love to poo-poo the old cigarette lighter because, you know, it gets wet and it needs to be dried out. It can get broke. It's not going to last you your lifetime, but it'll last a long time. But it's so cheap, it's so common, it's so omnipresent. This is very easy to overlook as an option. But in closing, I would say these two tools are two different tools that have different pros and they have different cons. They have different pluses and minuses. They do different things very well. They're both very affordable. And the point I really want to make is there's no reason to pick one over the other or say, oh, I wouldn't use this, I would use this. You might as well take both. Buy 5 of each of them. Put them in every pocket and every compartment of every piece of gear that you've got. You might as well have one taped to the middle of your canoe. You might as well have one pinned up in your hat. There is no limit of how many of these things you should have with you, so that the next time you're out in the bush, in the wild, out on state land, on a big camping trip, canoe trip, and you need a fire or you just want a fire, all your options will be right there waiting for you in your pockets, and you can just pick whichever option suits you the best. My name is Dave Whipple. If you like this video, hit the like button, the thumbs up, and the subscribe and the little bell to give you guys updates of when I post videos, which I try to do quite often. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be radical, eh? See you soon.